Alright everyone, today's video is a complete horse guide as well as saddles, stirrups, stats, and how to get the best horses in the game as early as Act 2. Now, before we get started, really and truly, I want to get one thing off my chest. This right here that I'm standing next to is the White Arabian horse, and a lot of people are claiming that this is the best one in the game. It is categorically not the best horse in the game. It's not even close. If you only care about acceleration and speed, then I guess it's close, but it is not the best horse in the game. It is free, it is a good horse, but this video will tell you all the reasons why there are better horses out there, how to get them, how to customize them, and a whole bunch more. So the first thing to discuss is the main stats that horses have, and that is speed and acceleration, but there are also, as far as I've been able to tell, some hidden stats and hidden modifiers, and I don't know exactly how to quantifiably test the values of those hidden stats, but it appears that horses also have a bravery stat and a trainability or a bonding acuity or something, a bonding level stat. Arabians are a superior elite type horse, which is its own classification, and they are really good, so if you do want one of these or any other horse type, now it's time to get into where exactly to find them. The easiest way to get any horse in the game is not to buy it, not to search for it in the wild. There's just simply one specific spot a little bit north of Saint-Denis here. There is a set of 3 houses, and then in between those houses is a spawn of 2 horses. So all you're going to do is come over nearby there, get your binoculars out, scope in on that spot, it's usually during the day, and then zoom in and show the info of the horse there, or study it if you haven't already. As you can see, I have a Kentucky Saddler and I also have a Tennessee Walker. Both of them are bad horses, but every time you reload the game, these will be 2 different horses. So all you have to do is create a save file here, then go into your menu, go down to story, go over to exit game, exit out, and then load up this save file, and it will be 2 different horses. Once you've found a horse that you like by doing this method and just reloading the game and getting 2 different spawns every time, all you need to do is take your own saddle off of your existing horse. Just go up to it, remove the saddle, walk over, and place the saddle on the horse that you want. And no one really seems to care. It doesn't count as a theft. It doesn't get you a bounty. There's no ramifications for doing that. It doesn't even appear to be a crime. So all you need to do is swap your saddle, and then you own that horse. But make sure that you also have a stable space so that you can go and store it in the stable when you want to. Now it's time to talk about specific horse breeds, and I'm only going to restrict this to the top 3. I'm not going to talk about all of them because there are a bunch of different ones, and some of them are distinctly worse or better than others. Now, we also want to be focusing in on hybrid breeds because this gives you the benefit of 2 different kind of distinct styles of horse in one, and those typically tend to be towards the top tier. Now, one of these 3, one of the top 3, is definitely the Arabian. It is fast. You know, it is strong, it does have good handling, it is a superior. There are a lot of benefits to having an Arabian horse. It does cost the most in the game as well if you're trying to buy one, but if you're doing the free method, then it doesn't really matter. And among the Arabian horses, there is one specific one, the Rose Gray Bay Arabian, that is distinctly better than the others. The White Arabian is, funnily enough, actually the worst of the 3. So if you're trying to get the White Arabian and you're following someone else's guidelines that say it's the best horse in the game, they are lying to you, they are wrong, don't pay attention to that. You can get a Black Arabian for about $1,000 in Act 4, or you can get any of the 3 Arabians from the easy method in Act 2, Chapter 2, just by going and claiming them free and reloading your save file. Now it's time to talk about the Missouri Fox Trotter, which to me is one step up above the Arabian for a few reasons. The first reason is it actually has the best speed of any horse in the game, or it can have the best speed, and that is the Missouri Fox Trotter again. It's a racehorse workhorse hybrid, so that's where it's getting its speed from, and it also gets tremendous stamina from the fact that it is a hybrid workhorse. Now, again, it does have the best speed in the game, so if that's your only attribute that you're looking for, the Missouri Fox Trotter is the best. And then when you've put a saddle on it and you've modded it up, if you have a vendor's saddle and you're able to put stirrups, but I'll talk about that in a second, it's indistinguishable in all other areas from the Arabians, and it is actually faster. Now, some of the hidden stats are much better on the Fox Trotter as far as I've been able to tell. Now, this is based on personal preference, and it also is based heavily on some speculation, so keep that in mind. But it appears that the Foxtrotters react infinitely better when they come up against a gunfight or a predator or a snake or some other thing that would spook the horse. And normally, the Arabian will actually buck you off, or it'll react really strongly and run off the road. It won't respond to your commands anymore because they're very skittish horses. They're not brave at all. The Fox Trotter is much more brave, it's much more sturdy, so in a couple of these unseen categories, it's far superior, and it does have the best speed. So the Missouri Fox Trotter, in my eyes, is one step above the Arabian, coming at number 2, the second best horse type in the game. And you can get them for free just by going to the spot north of Saint Denis. And once you've modded it up with your saddle and your stirrups, etc., or your crafted saddle, it's indistinguishable in all other categories, and it's a very, very good horse. The last horse archetype I want to talk about is the Turkomans, and there's a reason for this. Some people may be thinking there's no way that that's better than Arabians, but hear me out on it. The Turkomans are another hybrid archetype that combine racehorses with war horses. Because of the racehorse side, you have competitive and nearly the highest speed and handling and acceleration when compared to other horses in the game. It's not the absolute highest, but it's very, very close, and that's because of the racehorse DNA. But if you flip over to warhorse, then that's where we're getting the highest health on the Turkomans, or tied for the highest health in the game, and that's because of the warhorse combination and the warhorse blend. So they do have and are tied for the highest health of any horse in the game, and they react very, very well in the face of danger. If there's snakes on the road or alligators or any other reason that would scare most other horses, the Turkomans remain almost completely unfazed. They do not physically impact the way that you're able to handle the horse like other horses. They're not going to get spooked and run off the road and you lose control or they buck you off. The Turkomans react extremely well, and that's because of the warhorse side. Not to mention the fact that they have such high health and their other stats are not suffering very much. The other stats maybe are tiny bits lower than competing horse breeds, various ones in various stats, but because of some of their hidden abilities, their hidden stats, and their bonding as well, I found it to be much faster training a Turkoman, but that could be just a little bit of a placebo effect because I already like them. But again, these hidden stats, especially bravery, are significantly higher. They do have very high health, and they don't suffer in the other categories. When you've saddled up a Turkoman and you're using the right saddle and you have the right stirrups and you have all of the right upgrades, it is, again, in all categories indistinguishable from any other horse that could be claimed to be the best in the game, while having the best health, the best bravery, and overall, it's just a very, very good horse. And then personally, on just a purely individual level, it's a decent size. It doesn't look like a joke. You don't feel like a joke walking around on a Turkoman. You actually feel like your cowboy is a real cowboy and not something that's going to a children's birthday party. Now I quickly want to cover saddles, and there are two distinct groups. You have the vendor saddles that you buy, and then you have the crafted saddles from the trapper. The thing to know about crafted saddles is that they do have higher base stats, and it may actually seem, because of the wording, like the stats are negative. That's just something really quickly that I hope they fix in the future. They reword that because it was a little bit confusing, but don't worry about that. Saddles actually, help your stats. They decrease the rate at which the cores drain, regardless of how confusing the stats panel is. Anyways, moving on. Crafted saddles from the trapper cannot have stirrups. So they do have better stats overall, and I'm not going to go in depth on which ones are the best and where to get them, because I think it's very, very easy for people to see the stats on that panel and understand which ones have the highest percentages. So a crafted saddle will have better stats across the board than a vendor or bought saddle, but a vendor saddle can have stirrups, and stirrups have a definite impact and a visible and tangible impact on both the speed and acceleration stats. So if you get a vendor saddle and then you put the right stirrups on it, that actually can be better than a crafted saddle in a lot of circumstances, especially when you apply that to certain horse breeds. Because of the way the different stat distributions work, having a vendor saddle with the right stirrups on a Fox Trotter or a Turkoman will make those either the best or competitive with the best horse in the game. Those are all up there at the top tier 1 of horse breeds. Then, if you have a regular crafted saddle, because it does have higher stats and you don't really need the stirrups in particular, if you have a very good high percentage crafted saddle on an Arabian, but specifically the rose gray bay Arabian, not the white Arabian, and also not the black Arabian, then that would make it, again, competitive with the best in the game. It would be possibly the best if you average out all of the stats and put the best crafted saddle on the rose gray Arabian. That would be the best horse in the game. But then also, if you have very good vendor saddles and you have the right stirrups, you put those on a Fox Trotter or a Turkoman. Those are better in certain other categories, and if you average all the stats out, they might be just a tiny bit worse, but they are better in certain categories. And again, it's not a no-brainer. There is no one best horse in the game in terms of all stat levels all across the board. A lot of these graphs came from a site called Ranked Boost, which did actually organize their guide to have Arabians as the only S tier or top tier horse, but they purely base this on the acceleration and speed stats, which is incorrect, and there's a lot more in the game. So they have a lot of valuable information on the page. I'll link to the page down in the description below, but keep in mind that this page is organizing it in a way that does not take into consideration everything that the game has to offer. It does not take into consideration the various discrepancies in saddle or the fact that there are hidden stats on horses, or anything else really. It just decided that acceleration and speed are the only two stats that matter, and thus the Arabian is the best, which is factually correct if that's all you care about, but I think it's a lot deeper than that. So again, I'll link to it down in the description below. You guys are welcome to check that out. There's a lot of really great information there, and that's where the tables that I included in this video are from. I was not the one that came up with the method for finding horses and reloading your save. I was not able to trace that back to its origin, but someone out there is responsible for it, and it wasn't me, so I'm not going to pretend like it was, but it seems to be pretty common now. There's about a dozen or two guides that I was able to find within 5 seconds on YouTube. And all of them didn't really mention where it came from. So I'm not sure, but it's out there. Whoever you are who found this and discovered it and made it public, thank you. You're the best. That's really going to wrap it up, though. When it comes right down to it, there's 3 tier 1 horse choices. There's Turkomans, there's Fox Trotters, there's Arabians. The Turkomans are best in my opinion because they do have that bravery stat. They do have the warhorse DNA. The Fox Trotters are the best in terms of actual speed, especially when you mod them properly with the right saddle and the right stirrups. And then the Arabians are very good in a lot of ways, and they can be considered competitive with the best. And if you want to ride one of those, then be my guest. Again, you can grab them by going to the specific spot north of Saint Denis on your map, just reloading your save over and over. You can get them for free as early as Chapter 2. And yeah, there's not really that much else to cover. If you want to support the channel, please check out the links down below. There's a bunch of different ways to get involved with Upper Echelon, and let me know if the guide was helpful. This is a little bit worse than my previous guides. I'm doing this kind of off the cuff and more as a request. So, Siddharth, thank you for the recommendation and for some other information. Hopefully this was at least partially helpful. But yeah, other links, you can support the channel, get involved, join our Facebook, join our gaming forums, or whatever. I'll wrap it up there and I'll stop rambling. As always, thank you for watching, and have a nice night.